Series 1, Luca and Moss, Summer Secrets, Episode 1. The discovery begins. Every village hides something. Sometimes it is an old story that nobody tells anymore. Sometimes it is a forgotten path swallowed by wildflowers in time. And sometimes, if you're lucky, it is a secret waiting patiently for the right person to arrive. The summer Luca came to stay with his grandfather, he had no idea he was about to find all three. The journey to the village had taken most of the day. By the time he stepped off the bus, the afternoon sun had softened into a warm, golden glow. The air smelled different here than it did in the city. Cleaner somehow. Sweeter. The scent of wildflowers drifted on the breeze. Somewhere in the distance, a church bell rang. Luca adjusted the worn brown satchel hanging across his shoulder and looked around. Nothing seemed to be happening. The village sat quietly between rolling hills, as though it had decided long ago that there was no need to hurry. Stone cottages rested beneath climbing roses. Window boxes overflowed with colorful blooms. A narrow stream wound lazily through the center of the village, catching pieces of sunlight like scattered coins. His grandfather's cottage stood near the edge of the village, surrounded by lavender bushes and old fruit trees. It was beautiful. And yet, by the third day, Luca found himself deeply, hopelessly bored. Not the restless boredom of waiting for a video to load. Not the boredom of sitting through a long lesson. This was a slower kind of boredom. A summer boredom. The kind that arrives during warm afternoons when the world seems too sleepy to move. The kind that quietly asks, "Now what?" Luca sat on the front steps of the cottage. Beside him rested Moss. Moss was a small green frog who had somehow become his closest companion over the years. The frog blinked slowly. Luca sighed. Moss blinked again. Luca sighed louder. The frog gave a small croak that sounded suspiciously like disapproval. "Easy for you," Luca muttered. "You seem perfectly entertained." Moss stared at a butterfly passing overhead. Luca followed its path through the air. The butterfly drifted across the road, past the bakery, past the village fountain, past something he hadn't really noticed before, a wooden signpost. Luca sat up. The signpost stood in the village square, weathered by countless summers. Curiosity stirred. It wasn't much. Just enough to pull him from the steps. Just enough to make him stand. Just enough to begin. A few minutes later, he found himself reading the names carved into the wood. Sunflower Field, Old Mill, Hidden Pond. The final sign had no name at all, only a faded question mark. Luca frowned. The arrow pointed toward a narrow path hidden between two tall hedges. A path he was certain he hadn't noticed before. Moss hopped onto his shoulder. The frog seemed interested. That was all the encouragement Luca needed. Together, they followed the path. The village sounds slowly faded behind them. The farther they walked, the quieter everything became. The air felt cooler beneath the shade of old trees. Wildflowers nodded gently along the edges of the trail. Golden dust floated through shafts of sunlight. It felt less like a path and more like a memory, as though countless people had once walked here, leaving only whispers behind. Then Luca saw it. A gate. Old wood covered in ivy, almost invisible beneath years of green growth. The gate stood slightly open, just enough, as if someone had expected visitors. Luca approached slowly. A weathered plaque hung from the center. The letters were faded. He brushed away the dust with his sleeve. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the words emerged. "Welcome to the Village of Secrets." Luca stared. His heart beat a little faster. The breeze moved softly through the trees. Leaves whispered overhead. Beside him, Moss gave a quiet croak. Neither of them spoke. Neither of them moved, because both of them felt the same strange thing, the feeling that they had just stepped onto the first page of a story. And somewhere beyond that gate, hidden beneath the golden light of a summer evening, something was waiting to be discovered. Something old, something forgotten, something wonderful. Luca smiled. The boredom was gone. In its place was adventure. And that, as you'll soon discover, was only the beginning.